9:02, let's go.
Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order and get approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
So moved. Approval of the minutes.
I move approval of the minutes as written.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
So moved. New business.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I know it feels like a lot of new business there with 4 different positions, but really there's one similarity between all of the 4 positions that I want to go ahead and update. So with park technician, it does say that the job description and the qualifications have been updated, but truthfully, the job description is honestly exactly the same. What I did though is based on the priorities of the job description, we just moved some of the paragraphs around. So nothing in the job description itself has changed. We've just kind of moved some of those paragraphs around to meet the needs of the priorities of the position. But what is very different is the qualifications update. So if you'll notice on the park technician sheet that you have in front of you, on the back, you'll see the qualifications and you'll see that highlighted portion. That highlighted portion is the only portion that we have added to the qualifications for an update. And what that says is they must possess, or what I would like to add, or be able to obtain within 6 months of the hire date and maintain throughout duration of employment a valid commercial driver's license. So the reason why I want to be able to add the ability to obtain within 6 months of a hire date is because I believe that this will be more inclusive to people when hiring them, because a lot of times when people come on to a position, if they only see the must possess, they won't apply if they don't have their CDL. But what we're willing to do as a city is if you meet the other qualifications, we're willing to help you get that CDL within your first 6 months of hire. And we would also incur the cost of that so that the candidate doesn't have to incur the cost or try to do the training by themselves without the proper equipment often. So again, I just feel like adding this statement would help be more inclusive and get a better candidate pool.
Any questions?
Can I make one other suggestion? I think that's a good idea, but
Sure.
as a former golf course maintenance crew person,
Sure.
in addition to dragging the sand traps, you need to be prepared to rake them. I know it's
All right.
minor, but
No, I think that's good.
it's a little manual labor that we don't want to miss.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to know what they're getting into, so we can certainly do that.
I raked a lot of foot of sand traps.
Yeah,
when I was younger, man.
sounds good. All right, so then the next one that we have, and again, this qualification is similar to all of them, so that this is the same qualification that I would like to add to all of these positions. So with the natural resource technician, you're gonna see the same concept there. For this one, must possess or be able to obtain within 6 months of a hire date and maintain throughout duration of employment a valid commercial driver's license. This was something actually that was not at all on the natural resource technician qualification. This is necessary because they do, in fact, pull large pieces of equipment. And so I want to make sure that when we're hiring a natural resource technician, that they know coming into it that this is an expectation, that they need to have this or be able to obtain it within the first 6 months as part of their position description. Okay. Similar for the street heavy equipment operator, if you look at the back, this one simply adding the or be able to obtain within 6 months of hire date. Same concept. And then finally, for the sewer heavy equipment operator, same concept. Just wanting to make sure as we are putting these postings out that we are updating them, that we are keeping them accurate to what people are actually doing.
Is 6 months actually enough time?
6 months? Yes, it is. So they have a 6-month probationary period that we go ahead and we make sure that they get their licensures and their certifications. And that's really one of the main focuses within the 6 month, the first 6 month window, so to speak.
And then if the CDL is not obtained, then they're somewhat let go.
Well, I think it's I don't necessarily say that we would let them go, but we would certainly get them on a disciplinary course, some type of action, so that they can be qualified. So I certainly think that we would look at the situation and try to figure out why it was that they weren't able to obtain that. You know, is it, you never know, you know, is it a learning disability? Was it something like catastrophic that happened? You know, did something happen in their life at that time where they had to be gone for a certain amount of time and didn't allow them the full 6 months to obtain that? We really look at each case scenario to be fair to the employee.
So what is the longest extent would it be able to carry on? Because you're saying 6 months, but then you're changing it.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
thank you.
If we are including that in the actual job qualifications that you have to possess this or be able to obtain it within the first 6 months, it would be highly likely that if there were not some extreme circumstance that the individual probably would be terminated if they had not obtained that, because that is in the qualifications that you're approving, and that's
Exactly.
what we're determining whether you meet the qualifications or not. But I would say if there was some very, very extreme circumstance, then we might look at that. We're reasonable, but in most circumstances, they would likely be dismissed.
Okay.
I think it's good to be reasonable.
Any further questions?
No.
Do we need a motion to approve those?
Yes.
I move that we accept the recommendations with the improvements.
I second.
All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. So moved. Old business? Nope. Okay. Certification was for natural resource equipment operator.
All right, so we are looking at 2 promotionals here. It's pretty easy processes, but I'll go through them. So first, as Chairman Kelly said, we have the natural resources equipment operator. It was split up, so 30/70, so part of the testing component included a practical, the other component included the interview. And then there is the salary range, and it is part of the Teamster union. So with this specific position, while it is a promotional, you do have to have at least 1 year of successful completion, driving trucks, tractors, other service vehicles. I think some other important things to point out, because this is a promotional, is you must at this point in time possess your CDL. So that's something there. And then there are also some other certifications that you must possess because that was expected within your 1 year of hire or within your first 6 months. So with this position, we had 4 internal applicants apply. Of the 4 internal that applied, 3 of the 4 were actually qualified to participate in this promotional process. We did have 1 candidate drop out when it came to the practical portion, so that's why we had 2 candidates. Both of those candidates passed the practical with no problem, were invited to the interview, did very well on the interview, and that's why they're both on the certification list today.
Good.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So you have on here that they must pass a physical examination, and this is a promotional position?
Yes.
Did they have to pass a physical examination for the underlying one as well? The lower one?
Originally, when originally hired, they had to pass the physical and the criminal background check when originally hired. We don't redo that when we, if they're going from a full-time position into another full-time position as a promotional.
So they didn't have to pass a new physical exam?
Not for the new posting, no.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so then we have the heavy equipment operator. Again, a promotional position. We split it up 30/70, very similar to the previous one. However, you will notice a higher salary range as this is a step up. And again, this is within the Teamster union. So for this position, you actually have to have 3 years of progressively responsible experience operating the equipment. Again, you must possess or be able to maintain in this particular one your pesticide applicator license, having your commercial driver's license, very, very similar to the previous one. Again, just a bump up in the years that you actually would be operating the equipment. With this position, we had 5 applicants. Of the 5 applicants, we had 3 candidates that were actually qualified for this position and were invited to participate in the practical. We did have 1 drop out in this one as well, so that left us with 2 to interview. And very similar to the last one, the 2 that came, they did very well on the practical, they did very well on the interview, and that's why they are on the certification list today.
When you have 2 on the list, as you have on these, how do you choose which one?
Yeah, it's hard. So it ultimately, once they are on the list, they are both qualified. So after you all approve the list, it comes down to the hiring manager. The hiring manager will decide based on the 2 candidates that are qualified, who possibly is the best fit for their team, because technically they're both very qualified. So if one were to, let's just say after 6 months, one were to leave, the next one would certainly be qualified and the next one would certainly get the job because that list is still good. Any further questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
You have the paperwork for those?
Yes, I do, and I will circulate that here in just a moment. I did want to just take a moment to recognize Chair Kelly and Commissioner Bollinger. This will be both of their last meetings. We've certainly, myself, the city, and the HR team has enjoyed working with you. We appreciate all of the service that you've provided to this commission. This commission is a very important one to the city and to me in my own responsibilities. So I appreciate all of you, but in particular, I appreciate your service to our great city and to the commission.
Thank you.
Thank you, and appreciate you and your staff's professionalism. Very well done. Thank you.
It's been an honor. I think when you look around the Quad Cities, Davenport is the leading city among the Quad Cities. But when you think about 5, 10, 15 years from now, how do you envision this city? And when you look at this panel, I think you see it. And I think with some of the ones that are coming on that I've heard of, it's going to continue. Because in order to stay the leading person or body, it takes continuance. You can't become complacent or settled in your position just because you're on top. Anything else? Nothing?
Can you take a formal action on the certification list?
Yeah,
Please, thank you.
we can have a motion.
I move passage of the certification lists.
Seconded.
Second, all in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So moved.
Are you looking for a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, sign of aye.
Aye.
We're so adjourned.
I gotta say, this is the easiest group we ever had to work with.
All right.